Hello, everybody. Snowflake here, and welcome to a new episode of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Um, Wait, is this a landmark episode? This might be. This might be episode 200. If it is, woohoo! We made it to 200 episodes. If not, oops. But we're there and we're thereabouts. So yeah. Well, great intro. Really good way to start number 200, if that's the case. Anyway, last episode, um, we did. We went to a place called, what was it? White. It doesn't say it here. Was it White Reach Barrow, something like that? We were led there by some random madman who heard the Black Book call out to him. And yeah, we went to the location, which was full of weird spiders. Um, yeah, weird albino spiders that could possess or mind control bandits, manipulate other spiders of various elemental forms, fire, frost, shock, even, well, we didn't see a shock one or a poison one, but they do exist because we also found a machine that was designed to make these spiders using the albino spider pods along with various appropriately colored jewels like ruby for fire, emerald for poison, sapphire for frost, and amethyst for shock. You can make your own exploding spiders, which was pretty cool. And yeah, we also fought a dragon priest at the end of it, but who cares? Rainbow spiders. But yeah. And also, we did find a black book known as the Cellar Regent. And yeah, today's quest is going to be to explore that black book and find the secrets. So yeah, that is the thing in order today. By the way, look at how few quests we have. Like, we can see them all on one screen. I know there's miscellaneous quests here too, but yeah. Not all the way close to the end. There's still quests that aren't in the journal yet, but it's an indication of how far we've come that we're not picking up as many quests as we are completing them. Don't worry, there's still a lot to do. Thieves Guild, Dark Brotherhood, two things we haven't done yet. So yeah, let's go to Solstheim for some reading. Good old weaklings. I wonder if we'll see them again. Probably not in Hermaeus Mora's realm. Okay, Cellar Regent. So we've already done 4 black books. This is number 5. I'm not quite sure how many there are. The guys on the boat have seen this before. Ow. Probably. Waters of Oblivion. Okay. I'm gonna have to check books because. Okay, we have read the Waters of Oblivion. Okay. Let us check our map. So, yeah. Darkness in Hermaeus Mora's realms usually leads to pain. Good to know we can walk through and tank most of it. Okay. Did we miss any? Oh, we did miss some side passages. Alright. Did we? Of course, we can't really see. Okay. Nothing really there. Okay, is this a creature of some sort that's gonna hurt us? Okay, it's just a wild tentacle. Is it? What is that? It's different to the usual things. Okay, Jules. Spirits of Nerve, a cabin in the woods for Dragon War. Cabin in the woods for Dragon War. Dragon War. Cabin in the woods. Spirit of Nerve. Okay, we've read all of those. Trying to see if there's any hidden stuff. Okay, let's keep saving periodically. I do love maps. Okay, Cats of Skyrim. I'm guessing that's about like the Khajiit caravans. Doors of the Spirit, the Poison Book. Poison Song, Book 2. Okay, Doors of the Spirit. That doesn't sound familiar to me. And it isn't. Okay, we'll read that. Cats of Skyrim, I think we might have read that one actually. And we have. Okay. Jules, Novice Robes of Alteration. Nice. Okay, let's read The Doors of the Spirit. The Doors of the Spirit. The ancestors are among us. They are never farther away than the waiting door. The ancestors are not departed. The dead are not under the earth. Their spirits are in the restless wind, in the fire's voice, in the foot-smooth step. Pay heed to these things, and you will know your absent kin. Pay reverence through gift and prayer. Equate the ancestors with your affairs, with your comings and goings, with your blessings and trials. From the waiting door comes your protection. Heed the spirits, who are the guardians of your hearth, teachers of wisdom, counselors of fortune, seers of fate. Each bone is a door through the wall of a world. Each bone is the road with wisdom and power for travellers. Each bone is the ghost fence that guards us from evil. Honor the ancestors upon your hearths, within your halls, in the community of your temples, in the solitude of your tombs. Guard your ancestors from beasts, from thieves, from profane priests and sorcerers. Let no creature steal your spirits, for the plundered hearth is diminished, and the plundered tomb is shamed. Live in one world with your spirits. Honor the spirits within and without you. Do not grieve for the dead. Take shelter in their arms and pay heed to their words. Okay, so anti-necromancy propaganda there. He's stuck. Oh, there's a pod. Okay, 16 Accords of Madness, and 2 Poison Songs, and a Rising Threat. I'll check 16 Accords. I think I've read at least one of those. Huh. Volume 6. I haven't read Volume 12. Now I want to check the other one. Poison Song, we've read them all. Rising Threat, pretty sure. We read them all? Yeah. Okay. Let's read 16 Accords of Madness, Volume 12. Malakath's Tale. In the days before the Orsinium's founding, the spurned orc folk were subjected to ostracism and persecutions even more numerous and harsh than their progeny are accustomed to in our own age. So it was that many champions of the Orsina travelled, enforcing what borders they could for the proliferation of their own people. Many of these champions are spoken of yet today, among them the Cursed Legion, Gromma the Hairless, and the noble Emeg Grokyra. This latter crusader would have certainly risen to legendary status throughout Tamriel, had he not been subject to the attention of certain Daedric princes. Where do I get the feeling certain Daedric princes means Sheogorath, given this is about madness? Emeg Grokyra was a bastard son of a young maiden who was killed in childbirth. He was raised by the shaman of his tribe, the Grillig Kamal, in the peaks of what we now call Norma Heights. Late in his 15th year, Emeg forged by hand an ornate suit of scaled armour, a rite of ascension among his tribe. On a blustery day, he pounded the final rivet, and draping a heavy cloak over a bulky mantle, Emeg set out from his village for the last time. Word of his exploits always returned home, whether defending merchant caravans from brigands or liberating enslaved beast folk. News of the noble orc crusader began to grace even the lips of Bretons, often with a tinge of fear. Less than 2 years after ascending to maturity, Grokyra was making camp when a thin voice called out from the thickening night. He was surprised to hear the language of his people spoken by a tongue that obviously did not belong to an orc. "Lord Kyra," said the voice, "tales of your deeds have crossed the lips of many, and have reached my ears." Peering into the murk, Emeg made out the silhouette of a cloaked figure, made wavy and ephemeral by the hazy campfire. From the voice alone he had thought the interloper an old hag, but he now decided that he was in the presence of a man of slight and lanky build, though he could discern no further detail. "Perhaps," the wary orc began, "but I seek no glory. Who are you?" Is it Grokyra? Okay, Grokyra is a dude. It's Gra for females, Gro for males. Ignoring the question, the stranger continued, "Despite that, Ultima, glory finds you, and I bear a gift worthy of it." The visitor's cloak parted slightly, revealing nothing but faintly glinting buttons in the pale moonlight, and the bundle was withdrawn and tossed to the side of the fire between the two. Emeg cautiously removed the rags in which the object was swathed, and was dazzled to discover the item to be a wide curved blade, with ornately decorated handle. The weapon had heft, and Emeg realized on brandishing it that the elaborate pommel disguised the more practical purpose of balancing the considerable weight of the blade itself. There was nothing much to look at in its present condition, thought the orc, but once the tarnish was cleaned away and a few missing jewels restored, it would indeed be a blade worthy of a champion 10 times his own worth. "Her name is Neb Crescent," spoke the thin stranger, seeing the appreciation lighting Grokyra's face. "I got her for a horse in the secret in warmer climes, but in my old age I'd be lucky to even lift such a weapon. It's only proper that I pass her on to one such as yourself. To possess her is to change your life, forever." Overcoming his initial infatuation with the arc of honed steel, Emeg turned his attention back to the visitor. "The words are fine, old man," Emeg said, not masking his suspicion, "but I'm no fool. You traded for this blade once, and you'll trade for it again tonight. What is it that you want?" The stranger's shoulders slumped, and Emeg was glad to have unveiled the true purpose of this twilight visit. He sat with him a while, eventually offering a stack of furs, warm food, and a handful of coins in exchange for the exotic weapon. By morning, the stranger was gone. In the week following Emeg's encounter with the stranger, Neb Crescent had not left its scabbard. He had encountered no enemy in the woods, and his meals consisted of fowl and small game caught with bow and arrow. The The piece suited him fine, but on the seventh morning, while fog still crept between the low-hanging boughs, Emeg's ears pricked up at the telltale crunch of a nearby footfall in the dense snow and forest debris. Emeg's nostrils flared, but he was upwind. Being unable to see or smell his guest, and knowing that the breeze carried his scent in that direction, Emeg's guard was up, and he cautiously drew Neb Crescent from its sheath. Emeg himself was not entirely sure of all that happened next. The first moment of conscious memory in Emeg Rokira's mind after drawing Neb Crescent was the image of a curved blade sweeping through the air in front of him, spattering blood over the virginal powder coating the forest floor. The second memory was a feeling of frenzied bloodlust creeping over him, but it was then that he saw for the first time his victim, an orc woman perhaps a few years younger than himself, her body a canvas of grisly wounds, enough to kill a strong man 10 times over. Emeg's disgust overwhelmed the madness that had overtaken him, and with all his will enlisted, he released Neb Crescent from his grip and let the blade sail. With a discordant ringing, it spun through the air, was buried in a snowdrift. Emeg fled the scene in shame and horror, drawing the hood of his cloak up to hide himself from the judging eyes of the rising sun. The scene where Emeg Rokira had murdered one of his own kind was a macabre one, but over neck the body was flayed and mutilated almost beyond recognition, but the untouched face was frozen in a permanent expression of abject terror. It was here that Sheogorath performed certain rites that summoned Malakath, and the 2 Daedric lords held court in the presence of a disfigured corpse. "Why show me this, mad one?" began Malakath, once he recovered from his initial wordless outrage. "Do you take such pleasure in watching me grieve the murder of my children?" Malakath loves ogres and orcs, by the way. His guttural voice rumbled, and the patron of the Orsimer looked upon his counterpart with accusing eyes. "By birth she was yours, brother outcast," began Sheogorath, solemn in aspect and demeanour. "She was a daughter of mine by her own habits. My mourning here is no less than your own, my outrage no less great." "I am not so sure," grumbled Malakath, but rest assured the vengeance for this crime is mine to reap. I expect no contest from you. Stand aside." As the fearsome prince began to push past him, Lord Sheogorath spoke again. "I have no intention of standing between you and vengeance. In fact, I mean to help you. I have servants in this wilderness, and can tell you just where to find our mutual foe. I ask only that you use a weapon of my choosing, wound the criminal with my blade, and banish him to my plane, where I can exact my own punishment. The rights of honor killing here belong to you." With that, Malakath agreed, took the wide blade from Sheogorath, and was gone. Malakath materialized in the path of the murderer, a cloaked figure obscured through a blizzard haze, bellowing a curse so foul as to wilt the surrounding trees. The blade was drawn, and Malakath crossed the distance more quickly than a wild fox. Frothing with rage, he swung the blade in a smooth arc which lopped the head of his foe cleanly off, then plunged the blade up to its hilt in his chest, choking off the spurts of blood into a steady growing stain of red, bubbling from beneath the scaled armour and heavy cloak. Panting from the unexpected immediacy and fury of his own kill, Malakath rested on a knee as the body before him collapsed heavily backwards, and the head landed roughly upon a broad, flat stone. The next sound broke the silence like a bolt. "I'm sorry," sputtered the voice of Emeg Rokira. Malakath's eyes went wide as he looked upon the severed head, seeping blood from its wound, but somehow kept alive. Its eyes wavered about wildly, trying to focus on the aspect of Malakath before it. The once proud eyes of a champion were choked with tears of grief, pain, and confused recognition. To his horror, Malakath recognized only now that the man he had killed was not only one of his Orsimer children, but very literally a son he had blessed an orc maiden with years hence. Oh man, he killed his own son, without knowing it. For achingly long moments the two looked upon each other, despondent and shocked. Then, silent as oiled steel, Sheogorath strode into the clearing. He hefted Emeg Rokira's disembodied head and bundled it into a small grey sack. Sheogorath reclaimed Neb Crescent from the corpse and turned to walk away. Malakath began to stand, but kneeled again, knowing he had irreversibly damned his own offspring to the realm of Sheogorath, and mourned his failure as the sound of his son's hoarse feet pleas faded into the frozen horizon. Sort of serves him right for giving up his son to Sheogorath without wondering why this orc had killed one of his own. So yeah, still rough for the orc though. Alright, we found a speech skill book. 2920, second seed. What's it called? Volume 5. Second Seed, Book 5 of 2920, The Last Year of the First Era, by Carla Tamway. 10 Second Seed, 2920, The Imperial City, Cyrodiil. Your Imperial Majesty, said the potentate Versailles, opening the door to his chamber with a smile. I have not seen you lately. I thought perhaps you were indisposed with the lovely Risha. He's taking the baths at Mir Corp, the Emperor Raymond III said miserably. Please come in. I've reached a stage where I can only trust 3 people. I've reached a stage where I can only trust 3 people. You, my son the Prince, and Risha, said the Emperor petulantly. My entire council is nothing but a pack of spies. What seems to be the matter, Your Imperial Majesty? Asked the potentate Vasiliushae sympathetically, drawing close the thick curtain in his chamber. Instantly all sound outside of the room was extinguished, echoing footsteps in the marble halls and birds in the springtide gardens. I've discovered that a notorious prisoner, an Orba tribeswoman from Black Marsh called Kashika, was with the army at Suvio while we were encamped there when my son was poisoned before the battle at Bogdrum. There's a place called Bogdrum in Tamriel too. Interesting. I'm sure she would have preferred to kill me, but the opportunity didn't present itself, the Emperor fumed. The Council suggests that we need evidence of her involvement before we prosecute. Of course they would, said the potentate thoughtfully. Particularly if one or more of them was in on the plot. I have a thought, Your Imperial Majesty. Yes, said Raymond impatiently. Out with it. Tell the Council you're dropping the matter, and I will send out the guard to track Miss Kashika down and follow her. We will see who her friends are, and perhaps get an idea of the scope of this plot on Your Imperial Majesty's life. Yes, said Raymond with a satisfied frown. That's a capital plan. We will track the scheme to whoever it leads to. Decidedly, Your Imperial Majesty, smiled the potentate, parting the curtain so the Emperor could leave. In the hallway outside was Vasiliushae's son, Severian Chorak. The boy bowed to the Emperor before entering the potentate's chamber. Are you in trouble, father? Whispered the Akaviri lad. I heard the Emperor found out about what's-her-name, the poisoner. The great art of speechcraft, my boy, said Vasiliushae to his son, is to tell them what they want to hear, in a way that gets them to do what you want them to do. I need you to get a letter to Kashika, and make certain that she understands that if she does not follow the instructions perfectly, she is risking her own life more than ours. Yeah, I kind of figured as soon as the Emperor was like, all of my council are spies, I can only trust these people. Of course, it's one of the people that you trust. That is the mole. 13 Second Seed, 2920. Mir Corrup, Cyrodiil. Risha sank luxuriantly into the burbling hot spring, feeling her skin tingle like it was being rubbed by millions of little stones. I think Risha is like a woman that the Emperor is seeing that isn't his wife, and I think it's a Khajiit as well. From what I remember. The rock shelf over her head sheltered her from the misting rain, but let all the sunshine in, streaming in layers through the branches of the trees. It was an idyllic moment in an idyllic life, and when she was finished she knew that her beauty would be entirely restored. The only thing she needed was a drink of water. The bath itself, while wonderfully fragrant, tasted always of chalk. Water, she cried to her servants. Water, please. A gaunt woman with rags tied over her eyes ran to her side and dropped a goatskin of water. Risha was about to laugh at the woman's prudery. She herself was not ashamed of her naked body, but then she noticed through a crease in the rags that the old woman had no eyes at all. She was like one of those Orma tribesmen Risha had heard about, but never met. Born without eyes, they were masters of their other senses. The Lord of Mir Corrup hired very exotic servants, she thought to herself. In a moment the woman was gone and forgotten. Risha found it very hard to concentrate on anything but the sun and the water. She opened the cork, but the liquid within had a strange metallic smell to it. Suddenly she was aware that she was not alone. Lady Risha, said the captain of the Imperial Guard, you are, I see, acquainted with Kashika. I have never heard of her, stammered Risha before becoming indignant. What are you doing here? This body is not for your leering eyes. Never heard of her. I saw her with you not a minute ago, said the captain, picking up the ghost skin and smelling it. Brought you nervous? Nervous hiccup, did she? To poison the Emperor with? Captain, said one of the guards, running up to him quickly. We cannot find the Argonian. It is as if she disappeared into the woods. Yes, very good of that, said the captain. No matter, though, we've got our contact at court. If that should please His Imperial Majesty, seize her. As the guards pulled the writhing, naked woman from the pool, she screamed, I am innocent. I don't know what this is all about, but I've done nothing. The Emperor will have your heads for this. Yes, I imagine he will, smiled the captain, if he trusts you. 21-second scene, 29:20. Gideon, Blackmarsh. The Sohan Vulture Tavern was the sort of out-of-the-way place that Zook favoured for these sorts of interviews. Besides himself and his companion, there were only a couple of old sea dogs in the shadowy room. They were more unconscious from drink than aware. The grime of the unwashed floor was something you felt rather than saw. Copious dust hung in the air, unmoving in the sparse rays of dying sunlight. You have experience in heavy combat? Asked Zook. The reward is good for this assignment, but the risks are great as well. Certainly I have combat experience, replied Miramor haughtily. I was at the Battle of Bodrum just 2 months ago. If you do your part and get the Emperor to ride through Dossa Pass with a minimal escort on the day and the time we've discussed, I'll do my part. Just be certain that he is not travelling in disguise. I'm not going to slaughter every caravan that passes through in the hopes that it contains Emperor Raymond. Zook smiled, and Miramor looked at himself in the Kofringi's reflective face. He liked the way he looked, the consummate, confident professional. Agreed, said Zook, and then you shall have the rest of your gold. Zook placed the large chest onto the table between them. He stood up. Wait a few minutes before leaving, said Zook. I don't want you following me. Your employers wish to maintain their anonymity, if by chance you are caught and tortured. And by me, said Miramor, ordering more grog. Zook rode his mount through the cramped labyrinthine streets of Gideon, and both he and his horse were happy to pass through the gates into the country. The main road to Castle Gervese was flooded as it was every year in springtide, but Zook knew a shorter way over the hills. Riding fast under trees drooping with moss and treacherous slime-coated rocks, he arrived at the castle gates in 2 hours' time. He wasted no time in climbing to Tavia's cell at the top of the highest tower. What do you think of him? Asked the Empress. He's a fool, replied Zook. That's what we want for this sort of assignment. 30-second scene, 29:20. Thurzo Fortress, Cyrodiil. Grisha screamed and screamed and screamed. Within her cell, her only audience was the giant grey stones, crusted with moss but still sturdy. Oh, so the Empress trying to frame Grisha? Is that what happened? Is she jealous of the attention she's getting from the Emperor, presumably? Maybe. The guards outside were deaf to her, as they were deaf to all prisoners. The Emperor, miles away in the Imperial City, had likewise been deaf to her cries of innocence. She screamed, knowing well that no one would likely hear her ever again. 31-second scene, 29:20. Kavas Pass, Cyrodiil. It had been days, weeks since Torella had seen another human face, Cyrodiil or Dunmer. As she trod the road, she thought to herself how strange it was that such an uninhabited place as Cyrodiil had become the imperial province, seat of an empire. Even the Bosra and Valorwood must have more populated forests than this heartland wood. She thought back. Was it a month ago? 2, when she crossed the border from Morrowind into Cyrodiil? It had been much colder then, but other than that, she had no sense of time. The guards had been brusque, but as she was carrying no weaponry, they elected to let her through. Since then she had seen a few caravans, even shared a meal with some adventurers camping for the night, but met no one who would give her a ride to a town. Torella stripped off her shawl and dragged it behind her. For a moment she thought she heard someone behind her and spun around. No one was there, just a bird perched on a branch, making a sound like laughter. She walked on and then stopped. Something was happening. The child had been kicking in her belly for some time now, but this was a different kind of spasm. With a groan she lurched over to the side of the path, collapsing into the grass. Her child was coming. She lay on her back and pushed, but she could barely see with her tears of pain and frustration. How had it come to this? Giving birth in the wilderness all by herself, to a child whose father was the Duke of Mournhold. Her scream of rage and agony shook the birds from the trees. The bird that had been laughing at her earlier flew down to the road. She blinked, and the bird was gone. At this place a naked elf-man stood, not as dark as a Dunmer, but not as pale as the Altmer. She knew at once it was not Ayleid, a wild elf. Torella screamed, but the man held her down. After a few minutes of struggle she felt a release, then fainted away. When she awoke it was the sound of a baby crying. The child had been cleaned and was lying by her side. Torella picked up her baby girl, and for the first time that year felt tears of happiness stream down her face. She whispered to the trees, "Thank you," and began walking with Babe in her arms down the road to the west. The years continued in mid-year. Okay, I'm not sure what to make of that ending. Oh god. Skeleton detect undead. Oh, we're being attacked. I think we're being attacked. Okay. I mean, we only need enough to survive a little bit. Yeah, we are being attacked. 2 seekers. Okay, interesting though. Can we get to come to us? I'm gonna save as well. Okay, one's dead. Oh, there could have been a clone though, to be fair. Save. Okay, bless. Flag up there. Okay. We must have some kind of light spell. Alteration. Candlelight. Mage light. Okay, yeah, that makes things a little easier. Right, my mouse is going crazy. Let's way forward. Is this where we came from? Yes. Who was that? Hidden pod? I'm not hidden. Scroll of candlelight, yeah, that's hilarious. Wait, how did I find that pod before? It was pretty hard to find. Look at us using another school of magic. Unheard of. Last King of the Iliads. Scroll. Pain of the Undead. Pretty sure we did Last King of the Iliads. It was an important book in Oblivion for Bacano's questline. Was this the one we found before? Yes. Action Forge recipe. Wow. Prometheus proving effects of the Elder Scrolls. Not sure about that one. Oh, we have read it. Rising Threat, Guardian Circle. Boethius Brewing would have started the Boethia quest. Electronic Forge recipe. Salt, Ruby, Soul Gem. I think that makes Fire Salts, right? That's quite a lot to give up for Fire Salts. Now that we have Candlelight, should we maybe go back, see if there was anything we missed before? It would have been very easy to miss something while just running through the dark. Maybe not. Let's charge up our mace while we can. Enchanting? Oh, is that giving us... Oh, we're almost at level up. Okay. Still a fair distance away. Guessing this is just it's to death. Oh. Hello? Oh, no. Well, we've lost the platform. Oh, there we go. Correct, Lurker. Ooh, gold diamond necklace, ring of eminent health. Pretty good. Scroll of Dead Thrall, what does that do? Reanimate a dead body permanently to fight for you. Permanently. It only works on people. Spell tome fast healing. That is interesting. Do we have fast healing? Detect undead we got earlier as well. You already did fast healing. Should probably favourite Candlelight just temporarily, so I don't have to keep opening the menu. Let's just check there wasn't anything we missed down here. How we doing? Somewhat close. Lurker Sentinel. No! Oh man. Sure we killed the Lurker Sentinel, we couldn't loot it. Oh. I bet it would have had some really cool loot as well. We're just too damn strong. That's us. Wait, is that it? Oh. Oh, that's nice of a game. If you send a body over the edge, it just magically teleports it right back up. Okay, 549 gold, a Hawker Tusk. Ring of Recovery, really good for magical users. And some more jewellery. Ab. And oh, we already made it to the Black Book. For some reason it felt like it would be longer than that. Ooh, flamethrower. Can't just store that Tranak. I mean, you gotta give it to them. The Black Book realms have some pretty cool loot. Look at all these ruined books and black soul gems. Let's learn flamethrower. Summons a flame Tranak permanently. I guess permanently just means until it dies. But still pretty good. And it's a spell, not a scroll, so you can summon another one whenever you want. Vessel. Amethyst. Charwick Coninger Letters, Volume 1. We have not read Volume 1, okay. Do that. Download Skyrim. The Snow Prince. Download Skyrim done. The Snow Prince is done. Nerevar Red Mountain, getting some Morrowind lore potentially. Yep, and that one. Souls Black and White, was that not a quest we had to do for the Arcanium? We had to get that book. It's ringing a bell. Okay, well at the very least we'll read Charwick Coninger Letters Volume 1. The Charwick Coninger Letters Book 1. 6 Suns Height, 3rd Era 411, Cambria, High Rock. My dear Coninger, I hope this letter reaches you with Hermaeus Mora. It's been many weeks since I've heard from you, and I hope that the address that I have for you is still up to date. I gave Courier some extra gold, so if he doesn't find you, he has to make inquiries to your whereabouts. As you can see, after a rather tedious crossing, I have at long last made my way from Borean to my favourite principality in High Rock, surprisingly literate and always fascinating Cambria. I had once ensconced myself in one of the better libraries here, becoming reacquainted with the locals and the law. At the risk of being overly optimistic, I think I might have struck on something very interesting about this mysterious fellow, Hadwath Naefwir. Many here in town remember him, though a few very fondly. When Hadwath Naefwir left, so too did a great plague. No one thinks it a coincidence. According to my contacts here, Azura is not his only master. It may be that when he summoned forth for Daedra and accepted her star, he was doing so for someone named Baliasir. Apparently Neithwir worked for this Baliasir in some capacity, but I never could find out from anyone exactly what Baliasir's line of business was, nor what Neithwir did for him. Xenophar, the god of work and commerce, is the most revered deity in Cambria, which served my, that is to say, our, purpose as well, as the people are naturally receptive to bribery. Still, it did me little good. I could find nothing specific about our quarry. After days of inquiry, an old crone recommended that I go to a nearby village called Grimtree Garden, and find the cemetery caretaker there. I set off at once. I know you are impatient when it comes to details and have little taste for Breton architecture, but if you ever find yourself in mid-High Rock, you owe it to yourself to visit this quaint village. Like a number of other similar towns in High Rock, there is a high wall surrounding it. As well as being picturesque, it's a remnant of a region's turbulent past, and a useful barrier against the supernatural creatures that sometimes stalk the countryside. More about that in a moment. The cemetery is actually outside of the city gates, I discovered, for locals warned me to wait until morning to speak to the caretaker, but I was impatient for information and did not want to waste a moment. I trekked through the woods to the lonely graveyard, and immediately found the shuffling elderly man who was the caretaker. He bade me leave, that the land was haunted, and if I chose to stay, I would be in the greatest danger. I told him that I would not go until he told me what he knew about Hadwath Neithwir and his patron Baliasir. On hearing their names, he fled deeper into the jumble of broken tombstones and decrepit mausoleums. I naturally pursued. I saw him scramble down into an enormous crypt and gave chase. There was no light within, but I had planned enough to bring with me a torch. The minute I lit it, I heard a long, savage howl pierce the silence, and I knew that the caretaker had left quickly, not merely because he feared speaking of Neithwir and Baliasir. Before I saw the creature, I heard its heavy breath and the clack of its clawed feet on stone moving closer to me. The werewolf emerged from the gloom, brown and black, with slavering jaws, looking at me with the eyes of a cemetery caretaker, now given only to animal hunger. I instantly had 3 different instinctive reactions. The first was, of course, flight. The second was to fight. But if I fled, I might never find the caretaker again, and nobody knew. If I fought, I might injure or even kill the creature and be even worse off. So I elected to go with my third option, to hold my ground and keep the creature within its tomb until the night became morning, and the caretaker resumed his humanity. I've sparred often enough unarmoured, surely never with so much at stake, and never with so savage an opponent. My mind was always on danger not only of injury, but of a dread disease of lycanthropy. Every rake of its claw I parried, every snap of its foaming jaws I ducked. I sidestepped when it tried to rush me, but closed the distance to keep it from escaping into the night. So for a whole night this guy just blocked and dodged a werewolf. Impressive. For hours we fought, I always on the defence, it always trying to free itself, or slay me, or both. I have no doubt that a werewolf has greater energy reserves than a man, but it is a beast, and does not know how to save and temper its movements. As the dawn rose, we were both nearly unconscious from fatigue, but I received my reward. The creature became a man once again. He was quite considerably friendlier than he had been before. In fact, when he realized that I had prevented him from going on his nocturnal rampage through the countryside, he became positively affable. Here's what I learned. Neithwir never returned to High Rock. As far as the old man knows, he's still in Morrowind. I visited the gravesite of his sister Pereira, and learned that it was probably through her that Neithwir first met his patron. It would seem that she was quite a well-known courtesan in her day, and very well-travelled, though she chose to return home to die. Unlike Neithwir, Baliasir is not far away from me. He is a shadowy character, but lately, according to the caretaker, he has been paying court to Queen Elisana in Wayrest. I leave at once. Please write to me as soon as possible to tell me of your progress. I should be in Wayrest at the home of my friend Lady Elizabeth Morling in a week's time. If Baliasir is at court, Lady Morling will be able to arrange an introduction. I feel confident in saying that we are very close to Azura's star. Your friend, Charmage. Oh, okay. So that's what they were going for the whole time. Alright, I think that is, well, that's pretty much it, right? Yep. Alright, let's read the Black Book, the Cellar Regent. And the secrets of 5 Black Books, hidden knowledge, achievement on. And we have Seeker of Might, Seeker of Sorcery, and Seeker of Shadows, which isn't too difficult to figure out the 3 different paths you've got here. So Seeker of Might, combat skills are all 10% more effective. Seeker of Sorcery, all spells cost 10% less magicka. Seeker of Shadows, stealth skills are all 10% more effective. We've already got 100 sneak, so we're not key magicka users, so you won't be too surprised to figure out that we will be getting the Seeker of Might. And there we go. 10% increased combat. Pretty cool. We were already strong enough. And now we're even stronger.
The Northern Maiden is shipshape and ready to go.
Thanks. Alright, let's head back to home and deposit all of the books we've grabbed and look forward to our increased combat effectiveness. So I don't know when that 10% takes effect though, that's the thing. Because we've got various other combat improvements. So at what point is the 10% applied? I'd be eager to know.
Yep.
What a lovely pose by that scuba. Are we wearing our full Death Brand armor? Okay, just checking. Because that would reduce our combat effectiveness. Rosemax didn't get to join us on our last quest. Did I pick up ingredients? No idea. Nope. At least nothing we can use. We had to eat a little bit of food because the dark was dangerous. Still a quest item, so we can go back and change the skill we want at any point. There was one black book that was like, there is a certain time where you can just go back to that book and get a certain skill. And then change it back immediately after, but I can't remember what it was. Got lots more jewels to make more spiders with. Not that we probably will. Okay, and that will wrap up the episode. So we've completed Black Book, the Cellar region. Most of the episode was reading through various new books that we found. But yeah, the main thing about that was avoiding the darkness, or just casting a light spell was apparently enough. Fighting a couple of Seekers and some Lurkers. And yeah, we've got ourselves the Seeker of Might, giving us 10% increased combat effectiveness, which is very good for our character, which is already very combat effective. Yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. In the next one, we are going to be doing a miscellaneous quest. Another one to do with the Skull Village, where we have to convince Nicholas, I'm not even sure who that is, to stay in the Skull Village. Apparently he wants to leave. Maybe he's bored. I don't know. But we need to convince him to stay. And that's what we'll be doing in the next episode. For now, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this one. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.